tonight from Hassi. Oh, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Bowled in. What a beauty. Special delivery from a special bowler.
Hi everyone and welcome to the 6th episode of View from the Pavilion. I am TalhaSyed and this week I'm joined by SOSami.
Hi, and salams.
So this week we've got plenty to talk about. We're going to have a brief overview of Pakistan's tour of Scotland and Ireland. We're going to look forward to Pakistan's upcoming warm-up games against Sri Lanka and South Africa before we wrap up the show, talking about other news from the cricketing world including the IPL and the announcement that the 2019 World Cup will take place here in the UK. So let's start off with our first topic, and that will be Pakistan's tour of Scotland and Ireland. So, Sami, what did you make of Pakistan's performance in these recent matches against the Irish and the Scottish team?
Well, definitely the underlying theme that came out from those matches was that the Pakistan top order look unprepared on these pitches where the ball will swing and seam. I know they were practicing in Ahmedabad on these pitches, but we had our correspondent there, Fareed, and he was saying that the Pakistani bowlers were also knocking over the batsmen quite easily in their practice matches. So I'm not sure how much can be done. I know we have Trent Woodhill who's due to join the team within the next week or so, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But I'm not sure there's a huge amount that can be done, a matter of weeks before the tournament or a week before the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a big concern. Basically, in every single match that Pakistan's played, more or less, their batting has been a massive concern. Against Scotland, I believe they collapsed as well to something like 115 for 5 before Misbah-ul-Haq saved them. As you said, the batting coach coming in, I'm not sure how much he'll be able to do before the competition starts. I'm sure if Pakistan batting lineup does fail, there'll be a lot of calls for the like of Umar Akmal and why he wasn't there in England. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a big concern. It's also it's not really embarrassing, but it's quite shocking that against the Irish team as well, our batsmen really struggled. We only really had Mohammad Hafeez and Asad Shafiq who made any sort of substantial score. Before in the second ODI, it was just the late burst by Kamran Akmal and Wahab who got us past and over the line. So yeah, the batting will be a major concern. Are there any batsmen in particular that you feel should have been in the UK maybe?
Well, I'm an Umar Akmal fan, so I definitely would have picked him. I'm happy that Umar Amin's there, but he's hardly had a game since he didn't get in against Ireland, which is a bit of a disappointment. I think he's a little bit flashy, but I think he's definitely got the ability to do well and to bring a bit of calmness to that middle order. So perhaps play him at number 4 or 5 and push Misbah up. That might be the best way around this issue.
Yeah, I think Pakistan lineup has to think long and hard about what they're going to do, because if they go like this into the Champions Trophy, well, I'm not sure how effective they'll be against one of the big teams. The other thing to look at is obviously the bowling lineup. I think it's fair to say that Junaid and Irfan will be there to open the bowling lineup for Pakistan. But in your opinion, who should be joining them too?
It's an interesting one. I'm not sure. Initially, obviously, it would have definitely been Junaid and Irfan, but it's an interesting one in that if Junaid, Irfan, and even either it's Asad Ali or Ehsan Adil play, we're still missing a death bowler. Junaid is capable of bowling the fine overs, but Mohammad Irfan certainly isn't the ideal candidate. And out of the bowlers that they have selected, it's probably only Wahab Riaz that is capable of joining Junaid in restricting the opposition during the final overs. So I would actually go ahead and pick Junaid and Wahab Riaz are my 2 shoo-ins. And I was very impressed by Asad Ali as well. So for me, it's a toss-up between Asad Ali and Mohammad Irfan about which one gets the third seamer's role or the second seamer's role. But I'm not sure who I'd open with out of those 2.
Right, yeah, well, as you said, the death bowling is a real concern. And as also you mentioned, Junaid, I believe, can be quite effective at death bowling. I believe he played for Lancashire a couple of years ago, was it, here in the cricket? And he did really well there during death overs. Wahab Riaz, I'm just a bit tentative in general with Wahab Riaz. He's a bit too inconsistent for my liking.
Yep.
Especially with the ball. He might have made his way into the team thanks to his batting performance in the previous one-day match, but his main role in the team has to be with the ball. So keeping that in mind, personally, I would go with Junaid and Irfan and then bring probably after seeing the recent games, probably bring in Asad Ali just because of his recent performances. He seemed more effective than Ehsan Adil. Having said that, I might keep Junaid for later overs while I open the bowling with Irfan and Asad Ali. Irfan and Asad Ali both seem effective with the new ball, but not as effective with the old ball. While I think Junaid can be effective throughout the inning whenever he's required.
Now,
Uh,
that's an interesting one. I hadn't thought about Junaid not opening.
yeah, because if he's good enough to bowl with the old ball, then and there's other players that aren't able to do that, then you might as well hold him back for later. I was actually really excited about Ehsan Adil before the team arrived in UK because we saw him briefly at South Africa. He did look quite promising. However, ever since he's come here, he's not really done anything phenomenally great. While Asad Ali, on the other hand, has grabbed his opportunity, and therefore I think it should be him that should be getting the go ahead.
Right, I know Wahab Riaz gets a lot of stick because he never keeps it tight. He always concedes runs. But the one thing I always like about Wahab Riaz is that he creates chances. If you remember back in South Africa, he created a number of chances against Hashim Amla and AB de Villiers when no other bowler looked like they were capable of it. So it was that's the reason that I'd quite like him in there, just because he'd be an option that, of someone who will concede runs but also can take a wicket at any moment.
Yeah, with Wahab, it seems more like a case of when he's brilliant, he's really, really, really good, but when he's bad, he can be really bad. So you just kind of have to hope that the good Wahab Riaz shows up on the day. The thing with this competition is, in general, that it's quite a short competition. There's only 5 games between nothing and being champion, so therefore, even if you have a player coming in and performing well in 1 game or 2 games, that could help quite considerably in going on to win the tournament. So in that aspect, yeah, I see what you mean about Wahab Riaz coming in, providing opportunities for wickets, and if he does even want to do good spells throughout the competition, that could potentially help Pakistan greatly to go on to win the Champions Trophy.
Whenever Pakistan have done well in a tournament, they've had impact bowlers who can come in and take wickets at any point. It seems like you don't want to set up a Pakistan bowling lineup to restrict the opposition. A bit like Pakistan did in South Africa, where they looked to stop the batsman playing rather than actually trying to take wickets. Once that happens, the mentality of the Pakistani fielders changes, and you end up conceding 250, 260 plus scores, which Pakistan won't chase down. So with Wahab Riaz in the lineup, the only reason you have him there is to take wickets, and it sends out the right message, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there that Pakistan needs to have bowlers who can bring in, get wickets, rather than worrying about trying to stop teams from scoring runs, because there are batsmen out there in every opposition that will score runs. AB de Villiers, Hashim Amla in South Africa. In England, you've got Cook and Trott even. These players will score runs, so there's no point trying to restrict them, so you have to try to get them out.
No, definitely. I like Asad Ali, though. I thought he bowled very well.
Yeah, he was very impressive against Ireland.
A few games.
That opening spell was fantastic. He was hardly conceding anything, and he picked up a wicket or 2, I believe. Right, let's look forward to now what lies ahead for Pakistan. So we have Pakistan playing Sri Lanka on this Thursday, and then South Africa on Monday in a couple of warm-up matches. So what do you make of these warm-up matches? What do you think Pakistan should be looking to achieve from these games? Any particular changes to the team that you might bring in?
Yeah, well, initially, when I first saw the warm-up fixture, I thought it was quite odd to be playing South Africa in a warm-up game, when you're also going to be playing them in the competitive game in the Champions Trophy. It seemed a little odd, but I suppose that's you play the games that you're given by the ICC. Yeah. With regard to any changes we'd make for the warm-ups, I'm quite surprised that it's the team, the batting and the bowling is quite uncertain. Given the thorough preparations that Pakistan have had, I'd say that the batting, there's quite a few question marks over who will be starting in the batting and the bowling, which they'll have to sort out over the next couple of matches.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all of us Pakistani fans were hoping that with 6 warm-up games before the Champions Trophy, by the time we get to this stage, we would have a fairly good idea of what our lineup would be. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. As you said, due to New Zealand and England being in the middle of a series, we have to play South Africa, which is one of the teams that we're going to face in the group stages anyway, which is a bit strange, but as you said, we just have to play what we have. And as far as the changes go for the upcoming matches, obviously I would have to give Ajmal another game or 2 before the competition starts. But at the same time, you want to make sure that all your players do get a match. You want to make sure that they do get some time out there in the middle. It's going to be quite interesting to see how Pakistan approach these games. Usually Pakistan's been known for being slow starters, but in such a short tournament you have to be gathering momentum by now to make sure that by the time it comes to think it's just next Friday now when Pakistan plays West Indies in the Oval in their first proper game. You have to make sure that you're ready and firing to go by then. So Pakistan can't afford to take these games too lightly. They have to make sure that they're on the ball and ready to go right from the get-go.
Yeah, I definitely I wouldn't play Junaid in any of the warm-up games. I think he looks like he's ready. He hasn't really put a foot wrong in any of the matches. I'd probably play all four. I'd play Irfan, Asad, Ehsan, and Wahab in one of the matches and just
Yeah.
let them fight it out. Just let them all bowl their 10 overs with Ajmal and Hafiz supporting them and see which one comes out on top.
Yeah, that sounds like actually a good plan. That's the way they should go. As you said, Junaid, there's no point risking Junaid in case he picks up an injury or something. And as far as the batting lineup goes, Imran Farhat and Nasser Jamshed, they seem to be sticking with that for the opening pair, which is a bit of a concern because Jamshed has been struggling as of late, and Farhat, well, Farhat's just a bit of a wild card. He'll have an innings every now and then. And Mohammad Hafiz seems to have found a new place at number 3. Are there any ways around that? Do you think it could be an option to drop one of the openers, bring Kamran Akmal up the order to open the batting, and bring in Umar Amin? Do you think that could be an option?
It could be, but then Kamran Akmal did so well down the order in the last game. I think he's played himself into that lower order role with that innings he had with Wahab in Ireland, in Dublin yesterday. So I don't think they can. And with the personnel that they've brought over, I don't think they've got a huge options of actually messing around with the top 3 batsmen. I would like to get Umar Amin in there. Maybe even have Hafiz open and push all the batting up.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. What you could do is you could drop Farhad with Hafiz to open and bring Umar Amin into the middle order. So you have Hafiz and Jamshed opening the innings. Shafiq, Umar Amin, and Misbah in the middle order, along with Malik and Kamran at the bottom to finish it off. So that could be an option that they could look at, but they certainly have to do something. Because I'm just looking at the scorecard right now, and in the second ODI against Ireland, the top 4 scored 5, 0, 2, and 4, which is really ridiculous. You can't really afford to have that, and we need to really have a look at that and try to sort that out.
That's it. And if you think about it, if the openers are getting both going for relatively cheaply, Hafiz is coming in probably in the first, second, third over anyway. I don't see what the benefit of playing him at number 3 is, apart from just saying you've got a strategy. There's no benefit of him coming in at number 3 if the openers aren't shielding him from the new ball.
Yeah, true. He is just pretty much playing against the new ball. Do you think Hafiz coming at number 3 could possibly be a way to protect him in particular from Stain? Because he did clearly struggle against Stain in South Africa. So do you think it could be a strategy just to save him from Stain, save him from the new ball? Or do you think that's a strategy because they want to have Jamshed and Farhat opening?
I'd say definitely it's a strategy to protect Hafiz rather than... I don't think Jamshed or Hafiz have been in good enough form to say that they've played well enough to push Hafiz down to number 3. I think it is just a case that Hafiz has to play because of the spin option that he offers, and that's the only way they can see him justifying his place in the team as a batsman. I don't see what the point is. I don't understand what the point is of having him in at number 3.
Right, yep. So that's pretty much all the Pakistan preparation for the Champions Trophy. Now let's just turn our attention briefly to other stuff that's going on in the cricketing world. And, well, it's just wrapped up. It's just finished off, but we have to briefly talk about the IPL. Now, personally, I never watched much of the IPL. What about yourself? Did you get around to watching much of it?
No.
No, right. Well,
I don't watch a lot of the IPL, but I don't mind the IPL either. There's a lot of people who dislike it just for what it is, but I don't openly dislike the IPL for any of the reasons. It's not something that's really interested me.
Right, okay, fair enough. Well, I think the final was yesterday, and it was the Mumbai Indians that came out on top, and that's the team for Harbhajan Singh and Sachin Tendulkar. It was the last time that we'll get to see a lot of the top players, Tendulkar, Javed, Gilchrist. They all said that they were retiring from the IPL, so that's the last time that we'll be getting to see them for a while, probably.
Yeah, it's I think it's with all the things that are going on in the IPL at the moment, I think it's good that guys who have been giants in Test cricket like Tendulkar, Dravid, or Gilchrist, they retire before any mud is slung at them. It'd be it'd be very sad if the likes of Tendulkar, Dravid, and Gilchrist, their reputations were tarnished as a result of any allegations in the IPL. A tournament like the IPL. They've worked so hard to build up those records, it'd be sad to see them lose it because of a domestic tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I see exactly what you mean. They're known as test stars. They've made their name in test cricket. You don't want them to have you don't want to leave them with a bitter memory just because of something that happened in something like a domestic tournament like the IPL. And finally, one last piece of news that actually came through today. It was confirmed that the 2019 World Cup will be held in England. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm from England, so I'm quite pleased about it. England's it's a great place to watch cricket. The pitches are always good as well. Although I saw that there were only 10 teams scheduled to play in the
Yeah,
2019 World Cup.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see which ones make it in. If it is a World Cup, I think you should include more teams than just.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I think they should have at least 12 teams. Now, I want them to shorten the format compared to previous events. At the same time, I don't want them to cut back the teams too much. What I had in mind was you can have 12 teams, 2 groups of 6, and then after that just have semi-final, final, or even quarter-final, semi-final, final. I think the route that the ICC might be looking to go down here is make the 2020 World Cup consisting of more teams. So you have like 14, 16 teams in the 2020 World Cup, while the World Cup becomes just a bigger version of the Champions Trophy. Since this is the last installment of the Champions Trophy, they might be looking to go down that route. But yeah, 10 teams is, I think, too few. As far as the World Cup being held in England goes, I'm quite excited about that. Hopefully, I'm hoping to go to a couple of games as well. And also, just in general, Pakistan seems to do well in ICC events in England. The 99 World Cup, we got to the final. The 2009 2020 World Cup. It seems to suit Pakistan playing in England in these sort of events. So yeah, hopefully all around I'm quite excited by the news.
Yeah, definitely. And also the 99 format was quite good as well. It wouldn't be the worst thing if they replicated that.
Right, exactly. Yep, true. That was also a very good format. But yeah, they have to find a way, I think, to shorten it. If it goes on for 2 months, 2.5 months, that's just a bit too long. But at the same time, they have to be able to incorporate more teams, at least 12 or 14 teams, to make sure that it is a World Cup and not just a slightly bigger ICC Champions Trophy. Right, I think that's everything for today. Let's just wrap up by talking about this week's Post of the Week. And this week's Post of the Week goes to our poster PB, who I believe this is his 4th Post of the Week award. And you can see on the screen now, it's a fantastic post that basically summarizes the history of the ICC Champions Trophy, and this was just the first part of the post, and we're eagerly awaiting part 2. But yep, so he does a great job of looking through the previous installments and seeing at key performances. What do you make of this post?
Very good. I always enjoy posts that actually teach you something as you go through them, and that was I certainly reminded me of a few things and also pointed out things that I hadn't noticed previously.
Right, yep, so that's all from us from today. I hope you join us again in a couple of weeks' time. By that time, we'll be into the Champions Trophy, and we should have a few more shows for you. Hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to speak to you guys soon. Thank you, Assalamu Alaikum.
Alaikum salam.